I'm Marjorie Winters. I'm the chairman of the Conservation Commission and the Inland Wetlands Agency, and we oversee the all the wet areas in town, the wetlands. And so I want to thank you for having me here today to talk about this bridge project. We don't have many access points in town for our rivers, for our river. And this is certainly one of them. There's a lovely town park there. And it's this bridge was built in 1892. So it's a lovely old historic bridge. And it couldn't get to stand on a bridge with a lot of the cars going by. This is a nice reflective area. And it's an asset to the town to have this beautifully, landscaped bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we spend time near the river, the better our stewardship of the river is. Rivers are so important. They are migratory corridors for the birds. In the spring, they will follow the rivers up, and they will follow the rivers down again in the fall. They are wonderful sanctuaries for a whole host of animals. We're so lucky to have. The beavers have returned to the area. I mean, we'll see river otters, river otters.
Yes.
We'll see gray blue heron.
Yeah.
It's wonderful just to go down there. If you have a canoe, just to go sit out there and watch the wildlife that's there. We're so lucky to have that here. And again, the bridge is one of the ways that we can get down there. Even if you don't have a canoe, you can sit on the bridge and watch the wildlife as it goes by.
It really is a great place for that. I've noticed some people even bring their folding chairs, their book, and then they just sit there, either in the shade or in the sun, and read. And
it's a wonderful accessible, it's an accessible spot.
Yeah. I've seen a number of eagles down there, and it seems like they're making a comeback.
Yes, they are, because our rivers are cleaner. We wouldn't be going and having a flower bridge if it was back in the 70s, because our rivers were in bad shape then. And then with the Clean Water Act, we were forced to clean up our rivers. We have that wonderful sewage treatment plant. We're just downstream downstream from it. And, the water actually returns cleaner into the river than it does even in the river itself, from the sewage treatment plant. So, we've done a complete 180 on our rivers over the last few, many decades.
And wasn't it a couple of years of the Farmington then got designated as a wild and scenic river?
We are really fortunate. There was a very active group in town and up along the various towns along the lower Farmington River and Salmon Brook. And they worked very hard to get the federal designation for the wild and scenic, as a wild and scenic river, which affords, some protections for the river, but it also, we can get, funding from the government, from the federal government, to do a lot of studies along the river. And I know the group has been very active with promoting various things within the watershed that are very beneficial for the river itself. So,
what sort of regulations did the bridge have in order to get the approval to do the rehabilitation of the project?
That's a good question. When it came before inland wetlands, we always want to see that there's an erosion and sediment control, so that when there's construction near an area that more sediment doesn't get washed into the river. We are very lucky that we have a very diverse population of freshwater mussels. We're one of the most diverse area of freshwater mussels. We have all 12 species that are within this region. And some of them are endangered and threatened, so we have to be especially careful that it's into the river, especially in the area where those mussels are. And so we're always for the erosion sediment control. And also, when the bridge was being cleaned or sandblasted and all the things, we don't want anything falling into the river. So there's a lot of, we have to make sure that there's containment for all that. So a lot of things, make sure nothing gets into the river that shouldn't be in the river. It's just for getting the approval. But anything that happens in and around wetlands or water courses comes before the inland wetlands for review. And it's not a prohibition, but it just says, can we do this better? So protect these resources.
And then that's good, because a lot of times people who don't know the details do harm that they don't even know that they're doing. So it
yeah, and we're a volunteer group, but we are charged by the state to enforce the state. So these are not regulations that the town has. These are regulations that the state has to protect our common resources, our waterways and our wetlands. And there's a lot more wildlife and activity around our wetlands than there are. The farther you get away from your wetlands, these are hotbeds of biodiversity, these wetlands. So we need to protect them. For so many years, before we had these regulations, they were being routinely filled in. And we lost a lot of our wetlands.
Yes.
And as I said, the rivers were not in good shape, but we're taking much better care of them than we have in the past. And that's why we have the regulations that we do. Yeah, there are a lot of studies that show the more we spend time near the river, the more we are aware of what the condition of the river is and the better we steward the river.